Hi, and welcome to Two Albums a Week, Episode 3. Last week we chose Joni Mitchell's Turbulent Indigo and Robert Plant and the Band of Joy. So first of all, I wanted to thank everyone for joining and pitching into the listen list on the Facebook group and for the positive responses. So thank you. Let's get right to it then.
Okay.
Last week was definitely a more invigorating choice than the week before then. These are both two artists that I deeply respect to begin with. I already know these artists. I have a past with listening to albums of theirs that I love and have felt thoroughly within me, that I've spent time with. For Joni Mitchell, it's mainly the album Blue that I sort of spent intimate time with. And for Robert Plant is obviously the Led Zeppelin recordings. Nobody who knows me needs clarification on that.
I'm not going to even say anything.
So I found it interesting to listen to music that these two have created past these works that I already know of them, that is a certain time in their lives. I really found this week's experience listening to these two albums and trying to open my mind to them to be part of my journey and my process through this 2 albums a week thing into discovering how I listen to music, what I like about music, and how to experience music in different ways. A lot of times I look at music from the experience of spending alone time with the music and connecting with it one-on-one and experiencing it like a show that is designed for me. But that's not the only way to experience music, and I really did some way this week to break away from comparing any experience I have with music to that experience and trying to experience things anew. Because for these 2 albums, the Joni Mitchell one worked a bit better as far as spending alone time with it, but the Band of Joy record didn't really do it for me as far as solitary time. But I have some guests here from New York, and we were playing cards, and I put it on in the background, and that was a whole different listening experience for me. Or when I was driving in my car with it and I was kind of doing other things and I was thinking about stuff, it has a very strong feeling of a festival or a lot of culture coming at me from all the history of Robert Plant and the Band of Joy. And
I listened to this album like in the subway, in like a rehearsal room on a shitty PA, only one side was working. This album uplifted me this week. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Whether it was alone or I played some tracks to friends and stuff, they dug it too. Robert Plant is just, even on the first track, like it just starts and he has like these little parts where he's
Little
just like,
Angel Dance.
yeah, but before he goes into that chorus, he's like, oh my God, my heart is melting right now. I believe everything you say, Mr. Plant. I will go with you. It's just so sincere. I'm a huge late Plant fan, like even in late Zeppelin, timbre of his voice. It's just, it touches me in a way that I can't describe it. It was fantastic. I loved exploring this album and seeing like the bluegrass influences and the folk influences and the blues influences and the rock influences. And man, one tune, Cindy, One Day I'll Marry You. It's like a traditional kind of folk. Oh my God, such nonchalant. And such everything just sounds so great. I listened to it so many times this week.
I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it though when I wasn't trying to engage. And that's part of what I'm trying to say, is that this has been a discovery for me of the way I listen to music and the way I live it, as opposed to what I think about this album objectively. I had a lot of commentary, you know, a combination of old school material on new sound where the treble hasn't been ridden away by every piece of gear along the route, is very harsh and not soft, and it's missing a lot of warmth that used to come from that. Technical thoughts like that.
I can agree.
Plant feeling old, and I know his voice intimately from Zeppelin, and for 74 and on, it's more increasingly difficult for me.
Come on.
It's too real, and there's something unreal about the old recordings that touches me in a certain way. But I have broken up away from this is the way music should be to this is music and there's a way to listen to it, which has been interesting to me. What did you think of the Joni Mitchell one?
I liked it. Songwriting definitely is great, and the production is fantastic too. Sounds good on my hi-fi system. Sounds very much like it's supposed to sound, you know. Everything is bold and big and crispy and nice to listen to. I would say though that it kind of felt a little bit like, oh, it's Joni Mitchell. She's at an older stage of her life right now, and she's kind of ranting on things that are happening in the world. It kind of didn't feel very sincere in that way. It didn't feel like someone who's really experiencing these things, and it kind of feels like maybe someone repeating sentences that they've been repeating for decades now, like saying, oh my god, sex kills, and that was the biggest one in the sex kills, this kind of statement, even though the whole thing is a statement about us, and that's cool. And another thing, I like the comparison between the two albums because the Joni Mitchell one was, the music was written for the lyrics, and with Robert Plant, the lyrics were written after the music, or simultaneously with the music. I'm usually more attracted to the Plant example in this case. Sometimes it seemed to me like the Joni Mitchell, this album specifically, was kind of more poetic and less musical, which made me less attracted to it. But fantastic album. I liked it.
Do you like Joni Mitchell's Blue?
I do, yes.
So the thing I found listening to Turbulent Indigo was that listening to it was like a process in my relationship with Joni Mitchell as a listener with an artist that he loves.
Right.
Blue is sort of where I remember her at. And this is like getting in touch with an old friend after years and kind of hearing where they are now. And I did not feel... The thing with Joni Mitchell is that when I listen to Joni Mitchell, I hear someone who wants. And that's one of the things I connect to in her, especially in Blue. It's her wanting all of life and me wanting all of life and her expressing it better than I can.
And now it's kind of like she's so tired of everything.
Yes and no. What I heard was still someone who wants. And that's one thing I loved kind of discovering as I listened to this album, is to see the struggle of the artist. She has this aspiration to stay still in this one place that she likes, and she doesn't understand why she has to grow old. She doesn't understand why things have to change. She doesn't understand why she has to beat blue with new music, because part of the background of this album, from a lot of background, is she had lower and lower record sales on every album released after Blue.
Right.
And this was the first album that made it to the charts and suddenly sold a lot and then won a Grammy. And she wasn't in a good place during the writing time. She was just breaking up with her then partner, who's the bass player and arranged a lot of these tunes. She connected with all these jazz cats and diverged into this music-y world full of jazz chords. And, you know, they create a beautiful atmosphere and very 80s-y, very sort of...
Very 80s, yeah.
The atmosphere is very contextual, mechanical, industrial feeling darkness with, the painted... poetry that she has on top, which are very human and warm. Wayne Shorter is playing sax.
Yeah, which I'm not crazy.
Yeah, and he played beautifully, but it's like... You could have not been there.
Yeah, he could have totally not been there.
And the sound is very 80s, but all that is aside. That's like redundant criticism as far as I'm concerned. That's not interesting, my opinion on the sound. It's listening to her as suddenly a middle-aged artist that is facing getting old, facing getting reconnected with her kid that she gave away when she was younger.
I had to sneeze for a second.
Basically, she's a timeless mind coming to terms with her finite body. That's what I hear.
That's interesting, because I hear that exact thing about Robert Plant in Band of Joy.
And that's what I feel made last week's choices very successful, is that I feel they have an equality to them as far as two artists coming to term with their age and trying to exceed
Just
their
think
lives,
if they would have a
really.
baby. Would be great, man.
They would have been an interesting couple.
Totally.
Our question for you is, what have these albums made you feel? How did you experience them? Did you like them? Did you not? Let us know. The two albums we're choosing for next week, after a lot of thought, after a medium amount of thought, are Nine Inch Nails' first album, Pretty Hate Machine from 1989, and Mark Ronson's latest album, Uptown Special.
Interesting. Or not.
Yeah. Hope it's a good choice. We'll find out.
Me too. I like Mark Ronson.
I like Uptown Funk. Every time it comes up, I just fucking love it.
I hate that I love it.
Sorry.
I'm way more excited about everything, by the way. I'm just a little tired.
Yeah, sorry that our energies are very low. We seem to be sticking these videos at the end of full days of other things. That needs to change. I'm starting to find my ritual, finding a place to see the music and listen to music and spending some time alone with it, putting on my iPhone or something and letting myself live with it in different places for a while. And I'm starting to build a routine for it, which is very nice. This 2 albums a week thing is taking shape for me, at least, as a process of my exploration of my relationship with music.
It's starting to take shape.
Yeah.
I used to have... There was a time in my life where I used to listen to 2 albums a week or more just because, and this is great to go back there.
Yeah.
We're super geeks.
Yeah.
Let's listen to more music.
Let's sign off and listen to more music.
Sounds good, man.
Goodbye for now.